Let's go. It's day one of the Fast Forward Your Future Challenge. This event is all around showing you how to actually have your brain allow the results you want. And over the next few days, we're going to be breaking down how to literally collapse time, how to take a year's worth of goals and create it in 67 days. So I know everybody is jumping on. I jumped on a minute early because I'm ready to get going. I hope you're ready to get going because honestly, this is the most important training you will do all year. This is the most important training you will do all year. This training will show you how to make strategies work, how to make tactics work, how to actually not have the same conversation that it would be great if this year things would happen. But I want to start out by asking VIP and asking you live, tell me what you're feeling about the new year. Are you excited? What's the emotion? What's the feeling? What's the thing you're thinking when you're thinking about the new year? I'd love to know in the comments. Now, in the comments, first of all, I just want to make sure with the team that sounds good, that everything looks good. And if you could let me know both in Zoom and also in StreamYard, that would be great so that I know that all platforms are working really well. So in the chat, you'll notice that StreamYard's asked you to tell me who you are. If you don't give StreamYard permission, I won't know who you are. So if you don't want to do that, it's fine. Just make sure you put your name at the end of any comments. We're going to be talking a lot. This training is not for me. It is absolutely for you. And so we want to make sure that we're talking. I sometimes call this Entrepreneur Church because we're going to be doing a lot of back and forth because my goal for this training is to show you how to just unlock and unleash that future, all the goals that you're setting, all the visions and the dreams that you had as you started coming from the holidays into the new year. And here's my ask of you in the comments. I want to know from you what you're feeling right now. What are you feeling right now about the new year? Oh, I'm so excited, Cindy. Yay! That's so cool. Sorry. Cindy is saying, I'm not sure if you can see this, but I got 2 enrollments in my group coaching program this morning. Boop, boop, boop. That's how you move things super, super fast. So here's what I want to know. What are you feeling about the new year? Tell me in the chat. Are you excited? Are you scared? Are you looking forward? Like, what are you feeling about the new year? Because this is 2023 is when we're recording this right now live. Tell me, like, we've gone through a few years of some interesting shifts. So I see a lot of people like, this is the year we thought it would be 2022, but this is the year that we're feeling hopeful and we're feeling a little bit optimistic. I love the word that she said, cautiously optimistic, probably because of all that we're hearing in the news. My encouragement is to not watch that, but ready for changes. Heather, I see that. So before we dive deep, Cheryl in StreamYard, could you please comment that you can hear and see me fine in the Unleashed Entrepreneur Facebook group and also in my page? I just want to make sure. Kathy, I see YouTube. Oh, Facebook group sounds great too. All right, very good. Sarah's saying, hopeful and excited to see no more things and only things that bring me joy. Only things that bring me joy. Okay, next question, because we're going to go really fast today. Now, if you're in VIP and you can upgrade to VIP, we're going to go even deeper right after our live training. We're actually going to dive deep into the money stories and how you can unlock from those money stories that kind of keep you at that same temperature of income. Do you know what I'm talking about? So you can join VIP to go deeper each day and get these recordings for life. You can do that at uplevel2tovip.com. And I want to hear from you. This is my question. So Pamela just nailed it. I'm excited, but I'm mixed with a little doubt. And it's not surprising, because based on what you're hearing online right now, some of the things that we're talking about is casting fear, and it's casting this doom and gloom. And that, mixed with what you're going to learn today, is a recipe for staying the same and actually going backwards. But in the next few months, I believe there is going to be one of the greatest wealth transfers of all time. Greatest wealth transfers of all time. And so it's going to be vital that you learn how to get speed towards your goals and not use a system that is actually working against how your brain allows results. So here's a question I have for you. I want you to do me a favor. In the chat, please put a 1 if you have already, you've set your goals and you know exactly where you're going. Put a 1.5 if you're kind of got them, and then put a 2 if you're like, I'm just getting started, kind of thinking it through. I'm just getting started, kind of thinking it through. So 1 is, I know exactly where I'm headed. I've written all my goals. I know exactly what I'm doing. 1.5 is I'm in between, and 2 is like, I'm just getting started. I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm thinking about what I'm doing, and I'm kind of doing it. Okay, this is a great thing for me to see. Okay, wait 1 second. I'm looking at all the chat. Sounds good. Okay. Sorry, I didn't see you, Cheryl, in there because I had it on the main chat. Awesome. So lots of 1.5s, 1.25s, and 2s. And that is, here's the great thing. You are in the right place for that today. Now, like I said at the top of the hour, we are going to be talking a lot because this training is absolutely for you. And if we don't know each other by chance, if this is the first time that you've spent in a training with me, I would love for you to write first timer, so I know where my first timers are. And some of you have been in the community or been around, you've heard this story, but why you should listen to me, why you should spend time learning from me when I'm talking about training your brain to allow the results that you want and literally collapsing time, a year's worth of time, into 67 days, is that just my background and my story, I'm just like you, somebody who has a mom, I have 2 kids, 14 and 11. So I got a lot of eye rolls going on in my house, lots of opinions going on in my house. But back in the day, when I got started in the coaching business, my coaching business grew pretty rapidly, but then stopped. We call that the entrepreneur glass ceiling, where you do okay to a certain point, but then you just can't get past it. That's what I want to talk to you in VIP about today. Like, how do we bust through that entrepreneur glass ceiling? But that's where I was. And although my business was doing well, I had really big vision and goals, just like you. If you're showing up on this challenge, it's one thing I know about you. You have big visions, big dreams, big goals, and you want to see this actually take off. And that's exactly where I was. And I got the news that I was pregnant. And when I found out I was pregnant, I wanted to be a mom more than anything in my life. And so what was the most amazing moment of my life turned to like the most desperate moment of my life, because I thought to myself, I was working so hard, I could barely get any time to myself. I was burning out my adrenal glands. I was in the grind, in the hustle. Anybody else in the grind, in the hustle, trying to make it all work, trying to figure it out. I just say me in the chat if that's you. Say me in the chat if that's you, because that's where I was. And I was this beautiful moment of finding out that I was pregnant, what I wanted more than anything. And the thought came to me, what do I need to let go of? Because I can't possibly be a good mom and be the kind of mom that I know God wants me to be, and also keep my business and my charity running. Like, I'm barely holding on by my fingernails now. Like, how the heck am I going to do this? Right. And I had one of those God moments. A person flashed before my eyes, and I heard what if it's an and? What if I could be the best mom on the planet to my kids, the way God wired me, and then have a multi 7-figure business, 8-figure business, and run an incredible charity helping orphans in Uganda? What if it's an and? And then my mind shifted to a person that seem to have it all together online. You know what I'm talking about? Like you see people that you're like, they seem to have, for me, my values, my priorities, God first, family second, and then business third. But I love crushing it in business. I love helping people. It's my life's calling and vision. So I started, what every typical entrepreneur would do, drained my bank account, plopped down $50,000 and said, I want to mentor with you because you seem to have it all together and have the life that I want. I knew that I couldn't keep looking in the surroundings around me for the answer I saw in my mind. I want that to land right now for you. I knew I couldn't keep looking at the things around me that weren't matching my vision. I knew I needed to not do it the old way. I knew I needed to look a different way. And so I started coaching with her. And what I found out was every strategy, every tactic, everything I was doing right, doing the same thing she was. But she thought differently than I did about money, about worth, about her identity, her feeling like she's enough, all of it. And that really took me on a hard right turn. I ended up going and studying the neuroscience of success. I am a doctorate in neuropsychology, and I literally spent my entire doctorate learning how the brain creates results, learning how to remove anything we want from the brain and how to do this on autopilot. Now, I was the only entrepreneur in the room, the only person of faith in those rooms. They could not wait to get rid of me because I was solving the problem of us. I was saying, well, wait a minute, can we combine these concepts and these scientific principles to remove a limiting belief? And they would say, shh, just stay focused on the process here. And I'm like, no. Like I have imposter syndrome. Like I'm overwhelmed all the time. Anybody else? Like I feel like I get stuck a lot. And I know those are limitations. And what I learned was you could actually remove thoughts. So is that possible? And they told me to just simmer down. And then over here, I'm like, wait, you can build a process in your mind very simply that allows results to happen in a quarter of the time. Well, can you do that with goals and with dreams and with visions? And again, they just really wanted me to graduate and stay in those disciplines. And so what I did is what any other entrepreneur would do. I started putting things together. I started solving the problem of me. And all of a sudden, my entrepreneur glass ceiling shattered. And what we now call today the Sync NeuroCoach model, I started using with my clients. And clients within 40, 50, 60 days, their limitations were gone. Their results were literally collapsing in time. I had one client go from, in a matter of 3.5 weeks, go from 6-figure business to an 8-figure business that he ultimately sold to Grant Cardone down the road and is not working, I don't think, anymore. And that's the kind of power when you stop using old broken systems to create the results. When you stop using what hasn't worked so far and your intuition is right, there is something different to use. So that's who I am. And that's why you can learn today. But I am just really excited about, see, a lot of you are the same way. And I see you first timers. Good to see you. I'm so excited that you're here. So let's dive into it. One of the things that I want you to write down right now is the most valuable currency on the planet. And it's a currency that you're going to learn to work in super powerfully. So I'm going to introduce you to this concept of this currency by asking you a question. Now, I'm just curious before I ask this question, right now, if you had to tell me, what is the big goal for this year for you personally? What would that be? If this year you've even thought about, I know maybe you're 1.5, you're like in the process, but is it to grow a business? Is it to get to 6 figures in your business? Is to start a new thing? Like, what is your dream? Tell me in the chat, because that's really important to this currency that I'm about to share with you and the power to start tapping into how your brain creates these results. So what is it that you want to create this year? So Mary is saying financial freedoms. Stephanie is saying 6 figures in her business. I don't know your name, so please put your name at the end if you haven't given StreamYard permission, but I see time. I see creating a six-figure business to help people live a life of freedom, peace, financial freedom, side business, increase my income to at least 20K, transform the practice of psychotherapy. Let's see. Jenny is over here in VIP. She wants to have a $50,000 year, I'm assuming. Britta's wanting to create a six-figure business. So a lot of you, very business, financial, and that makes sense that you're in this room, that you would want to see your goals happen fast. Alexandra's like, I want a life of freedom. I want to increase income, says Lori. Alice says, I want to make my first six figures. Okay, I want to impact more women. I want to get my business to 60K and buy my home. So six-figure months while impacting delivery. I love that. Six figures and improving my health. So I see we would be hanging out over coffee, because here's what I know about you based on what I just read. You are driven. Probably almost people tell you to simmer down sometimes. Am I right? Say right if I'm right. They're like, you're just going for it, always going for it, always going for it, right? So you're driven. You're a high performer. You want to see there's a generational shift for you. You want to see how to move your what the past has been. You're having this conversation of like, I know I am meant for more. I know I am meant for more. And I this is what I know. A lot of high performers have this conversation when they're using these old systems that actually don't align with your mind. It's really important that you think through what matters to you. All right, I've got a lot of questions, by the way, Cheryl, in the chat about VIP access and sound. Could you guys help out there so that I'm not getting distracted by them? So here's what I know. You are driven in that way. And so I know I don't have to tell you, okay, you should get started. You're already starting. You're already doing it. But this currency that is very important that you start to think about, here's how I'm going to ask it. If a lot of you are like, I want to get to six figures, I want 50K. So whatever that number is for you, which would you rather? Would you rather create that in the next 67 days or the next 5 years? Tell me in the chat. Would you rather see that come to pass, whatever you wrote down, in the next 67 days, or take 5 years, 10 years, move through that situation? So Jenny is like, I'd rather have it in 67 days. So intuitively, you already understand this currency. You already understand, even though we talked about the big thing that we want, and we're going to talk about how to create it in a way, this what you want in a way that your brain hears it. But we're talking about time, because time is the most valuable currency. And as a matter of fact, based on your answers, I bet if I looked underneath what the financial goal was that you have, it's more than likely driven by really what you want. So it's really about creating meaningful goals. Because when we get down to it, meaningful goals, meaning I want to create six figures, actually kind of works against how your brain is wired. Because right now, I know in your brain, there's a reason behind that number. Or if you wanted to make 50,000 and buy a house, I know there's a reason behind that number. So here's what I want you to take a moment to do. And I want to share with you about, how this meaningful goals and collapsing time is so vital to how your brain creates results. Because you all just said it. I'd rather go fast. I'd rather have speed than to take the long, grinding road, 5 years, 10 years. Really, the currency that we're after is not money, but it's time. And the way we've got to start to show our brain this is by meaningful goals. So I know when I was trying to get my business to six figures, like a lot of you said, I went through a season of just chasing the money. And it was before I learned what I learned in those rooms. And as I was chasing the money, it always seemed like it was a carrot on a stick. Does it break carrot if that's how it feels? Like you get some progress, but it seems like the carrot always moves. And it's like, oh, I'm creating the audience. I'm doing all the strategic things that everybody else says is the thing that makes it all work. But it feels like the carrot on the stick just moves a little bit further down the road. And then as I discovered that there is a meaningful goal that your brain can actually use as fuel to speed up the results, it opens everything up. Here's what I mean. And I'm going to do this by asking you a question again. Tell me why you want what you wrote down. Why do you want to get to six figures? Why do you want to buy the house? Why do you want to have a life full of freedom? Why, Jenny, do you want 50K? Right? Why? I see all you carrots. You're like, why is it? Why is it? So tell me in the chat. Cheryl, we've got a spammer in the group. So why is it? Why is it? Thank you for letting me know about the glasses. Lori says independence. Tell me more. Why do you want independence? Heather says freedom to spend more time with her family and traveling. Why is that important to you? Why do you want freedom? What does that mean? What does freedom create for you? This is the question. Independence and charity work. What does that create for you? What does that make happen for you? Life is too short. Okay, but what do you want it for, right? Clear my credit card debt. What does that make possible? That's a great one. What does that make possible? Oh, Elizabeth, to make an example for my children and make the industry better. Why is that important? You see, these things are already running in your subconscious, and they're the real reason you're going for it. But you're telling your brain, I want this six figures. And your brain is saying, no, I want time because I want to enjoy the life I'm creating. And why is that? Lori, why self-determination? Why is self-determination so important? Mary, tell me why joy? What does that create? Alexandra, to spend time doing the things I love. Why is that important to you? Do you see here so many struggling entrepreneurs will chase what the marketing world dangles in front of you? Get to six, get to seven. No, I want you to do that because that does create freedom. In fact, if I asked you, do you really want six figures, or do you want freedom that the six figures creates? Which one of those two do you want? Tell me in the chat. Do you really want the money, put money, or do you want what the money creates, which is freedom and joy and travel and doing it on your own terms, right? And that's true of most high performers. We've equated the money will create that. But what I'm going to show you today is it's not the money that creates the things you're craving. It's creating the identity of the things that you're craving so the money can come. It's backwards, and that's why your brain resists it, like it's slamming on the brakes, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, because you're chasing after what the world is telling you to chase after that is supposed to equal success. And you've heard this before, right? Because here's what I know about you. You're wicked smart. I know you're driven, and I know you have these goals. So I know that you work hard, and you work hard because you've been told, and it's been indoctrinated into our culture that hard work equals success. And I'm not saying you don't have to work hard, but I am saying you're smart and you're working hard. That should automatically mean you've got to exactly where you want to be. That formula works. If it works, you would be there. Are you where you want to be yet? Answer me in the chat. Are you where you want to be yet? And if the answer to that question is no, not yet, then I need you to understand, and it's like coming from such a deep part of my heart. When I realized this, it was like, why didn't we not know this in school? Like, why isn't this being taught? Because right now, the goal setting systems that are being advertised out there that you're probably working through are based on an old industrial age broken system. And it actually works in opposition to how your brain creates results. Now, we did a little bit of aligning our brain with the results we want by starting to create meaningful goals. But here's what I want you to know. We can't keep using a system, a goal setting system that was literally created to make products. The goal setting system, the SMART goal setting system, like all of those systems, they're not bad. It's just that they're not complete. And so they literally put your brain in a tug of war. Remember tug of wars when you were in school and you'd have like kids on one side of the rope and kids on the other side of the rope? And I'd say the same thing for a lot of things like vision boards. They're not bad. It's just they're not complete. And it puts you in this tug of war with your goals on one side and the automations and the way things are done on the other side. And then that subconscious always wins. You can't outperform the subconscious. And so you're in this tug of war. And do you remember, just like in school, there's a bully that jumps on the end of the rope on the side of your subconscious automations and yanks, and then your dreams and your goals come tumbling down. And it's not your fault. This old broken system was used to create more performance in an industry, but not freedom in your business, not the money that will create a generational shift, not legacy level shifting. And when I ask you about the things you want this year, and if we were sitting celebrating at the end of the year, I want you to tell me if you've not only accomplished that, but the next thing and the next thing. I want you to tell me in the chat how you would be feeling. I want you to tell me in the chat how you'd be feeling. Because your dreams really matter. Your dreams really matter. And making money is super important. You know, I've told you we have a charity. We've been working for 18 years in rural Uganda, Africa, helping kids who have lost mom and dad to AIDS. These are kids who at 12 years old take care of their entire family of 5, 6, 7 kids, drop out of school. Like, our charity helps them get their life back and hires widows to move in with them and helps them go back to school. When I make money and I serve other people and solve their problems and there's an exchange, then money can become really meaningful, right? So what are you wanting to make meaningful in your life? Like, what is the money going to create for you? And now that we know that the currency really is time, and hard work plus, work hard equals success, doesn't go fast enough, then we know this goal setting system is broken. It's an old industrial system. And we're deep diving over the next 2 days on how you can tap into a system that's already in your mind. Start to trust that intuition again. Stop relying so much on what the world tells you is the way to go, and start to really hear that still small voice again that knows the right things to do. Your environment and your intuition, they really, really matter. Yours, not every marketer out there, right? Your intuition matters because your calling, your DNA. There's a study that we did not too long ago, peer reviewed. Just when I talk about studies, just so you know, that means they've been going for over 20 years and had at least 50 people get the same results. I always like to say that because there's a lot of pseudoscience going on right now. But your DNA, my DNA, we're 99% DNA identical. which is amazing because our world is, we have so many different people, different backgrounds, different countries, different colors, different ethnicities, which is the most beautiful thing in the world to me. To me, it shows me God's love, God's creativity. Yet we're 99% DNA identical. In fact, recently we just shifted our kids' schools just for that reason. We wanted to make sure that there was a diversity around my children. It's super important to us. Your environment matters. But here's what I want you to know. That 1% difference between us, my 1%, your 1%, do not replicate is the scientific word, meaning there's no competition, meaning your 1%, if you do not get it out to the world, if you do not have speed towards your vision and towards your goals, if you don't take the steps, it goes with you, it dies with you. In other words, our 1% are all different. Our 1% are all different. You matter. Your intuition matters. Your goals matter. Your dreams matter. So I want to ask you right now, as we're leaning into learning the 67-day year method, how to train, like literally teach your brain to allow results. That's what we're going to do over the next few days. I want you to start with the most powerful thing you can start with, which are, what are your meaningful goals? So I want you to take a minute. I'm watching the time here. I want to make sure we're right on that 45 minutes to an hour, but I want you to write in the chat, not just the monetary goal. I want you to write what that creates for you. What's the goal behind the goal? What's the fire behind? Who are you trying to make their life better? What situations, circumstances, environments are you trying to change? What does, like, if we're really at the end of a year and everything has come to pass, what are you seeing around you? Like, what's happened? Because you're not just staring at your bank account. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're doing something. So what, in just a couple sentences in the chat, I want you to write down, what is your meaningful goal for this year? And while you're doing that, I'll tell you about one of my friends' meaningful goals. You know, they bought a house. That I saw a couple of you wanting to do that. And my friend was like, I want to build a barn. And her husband was like, I don't see it. Like, I'm not sure like why we would really want to do that. And then she created this situation where they rented out a space, and they had their friends in this space, and they had like all the basketball courts and just all this cool stuff. And they were all just talking and interacting and connecting, and the kids were moving and having fun and doing, like, you know, bocce ball and just all this stuff. And then she walked up and whispered into her ears, "This is the why behind the barn." I was like, oh, I got goosies, because the why behind why she wanted to spend a couple $100,000 to do this was because she wanted to make these memories for her children and create deep relationships. What are your meaningful goals? I want to take a second to take a look at yours. So I'm just going to take a look. And Mary, I love that you want to help other single moms. And I love that so much. What is helping them create for you? See, this is the thing I know about high performers. We always look for other people's results, and I love that. But what about your environment too? Because that plays a role in this. At the end of the year, I quit my job. I allow my husband to retire. I buy a boat and take others fishing. And Heather, I want you to think even deeper. Like, what is the feeling you're trying to create when you're doing all that? Like, what are you going after there? I know this, we're camping here for a minute, because tomorrow and the next day, as we build out your 67-day year plan, I want to make sure that you are planning against the right thing, that you don't put your brain in opposition to itself. All right, let's look at VIP here. So spend times doing the things I love. Let's see here. When the money I I want to purchase our first lake house, which will be fun for family gatherings, spot adult kids, future grandbabies. So it sounds like, you're wanting to be the home base where the love can be created, right? So we're creating these meaningful goals. We're creating these meaningful goals, right? So peace, connection, love. All right. So you guys are getting, keep writing them, keep going deeper. Try to stay off of the surface and keep going deeper. Here's something that was really interesting. I just got back from a 4-day mastermind. Do you know what a mastermind is? Have you ever heard of a mastermind? It's where people that are at a certain level of business are trying to keep growing and they put themselves in a room full of other people. Tell me yes, say yes in the chat if you've heard of a mastermind, been in a mastermind, ever heard that word, know what it means. I'm just curious. So I'm in this mastermind and there's about 100 of us, Kingdom entrepreneurs. We're in there. My business was the smallest at multi-7. There's people in there with multi-8-figure businesses. The owner of Tommy John's, Pete Vargas, lots of incredible people. And we got to talking about the word mastermind and the fact that when it got started, just a little bit of interesting things. This was back where where the big steel days, all of those players back, Morgan and all of those, 1940s and 50s. And they were getting together and their businesses, they were trying to grow it. It was very volatile. And these gentlemen had this conversation and they said, the only thing getting in our way of the next level of what we want is our mind. So let's get together and commit to master our mind, because if we can master our mind, we can create anything. So we're embarking a little bit on that today. I think it's funny because today it's synonymous with its business strategy. It's not business strategy. The strategies all work. That's why everybody's selling you strategies, because they worked for them. So they all work, but it's really mastering your mind in this new economy. So who say new economy if you're like, I get the fact that 4 years ago even is gone. It is no longer an economy of products. It is an economy of speed, information. 100,000 pieces of information go by your brain every single day. We're talking Bitcoin. We're talking NFTs. AI is taking things by storm, which is making everything go faster and faster and faster. You know how I led with the currency of time, and we're in the economy of speed. Do you feel that? Do you feel this? Like, if you pause for a minute, then like a whole nother thing gets created and you're behind on that. And so it's this, thing. And then the news is talking about how the economy is just crashing and all this fear and all of this. But in that mastermind room, I can tell you this, the way they're thinking and the way that I want in the next few days you to shift your identity to is in the next few months to a year is going to be the biggest wealth transfer of our generation. And those that learn how to tap into how your brain creates results so you can collapse time, so you can get a year's worth of goals in 67 days, and then the next one, and then the next one, what gets to get created for you is that you get to be part of that wealth transfer so that you can help orphans in Uganda, so that you can help generation upon generation, so that you can make a change. Because here's one thing I know, typically people that hang out around us typically want to make the world a better place. Typically, and I'm curious, is that you? Is like, once you become super wealthy, you're probably not just going to keep it in the bank. You're probably going to want to use it to make a difference in the world. Like I think about David Green, if you don't know him, owner of Hobby Lobby, has now given away over 3/4 of his wealth every single year. But here's the thing. The things that used to work in the old economy do not work in the new economy. The things that used to work in a product-based economy do not work in this new economy. And that's why it was so important for me to have this Fast Forward Your Future event and show you the 67-day year process, so that you can literally unleash the Ferrari that's sitting on top of your shoulders, just waiting for you to tap into how it wires your results. To tap into how it wires your results and to stop the tug of war using old, broken systems. Because here's what I need you to know: your brain cannot process the 100,000 bits of information each and every day. So it uses your subconscious based on your past. So we've got to make sure that you're starting to trust your intuition. You're starting to teach your brain what you really want versus relying on an educational system and an industry based on the industrial age. Because those that do stay in the way it was, this is a little tough love, but I'm always going to be real with you, because those who stay in the way it was, I'm fearing, this is the only thing I'm fearing, is that you'll be left behind. And I don't want that for you. It reminds me of a story. It's not the most pleasant story, but it's a story that lands this so well. And that is in the concentration camps back in World War II, the officers would go to the prisoners hour on the out and ask for information. And when they refused the information, they would cut them. And then they would go away. And then another hour would go by, and the officers would come back. The officers that were detaining them would come back and ask for the information again. Those soldiers would deny that information. The people would deny that information, and they would get cut again. And this would happen over and over and over and over. And on the wall was a plaque, and it read the names of the people that died by 1,000 cuts. And I tell that story because that's what I don't want to have happen to your dreams, your visions, your goals, by staying in the old method, letting your subconscious that's based on the past run the vision and goals and dreams that you have for the future without tapping into the new way to do it. So one of the things is just going to happen, right? It happens to everybody. We have blocks, we have blind spots. Where are my lone wolves at that have been trying to do it alone? I want you to say lone wolf in the chat. I want you to say lone wolf in the chat. If you've been trying to do it on your own, buying the courses, trying, but you've been doing it alone, I want you to say lone wolf in the chat. Yeah, look at all of you. We're so similar. Oh my gosh. Yeah, gosh, I don't know who this is because I don't see your name, but what you just said was so powerful. With high levels of stress, my intuition seems to have disappeared. But I'm going to tell you, by the end of this event together, that is going to become coming back in such strength. You will be amazed. Pamela, I love your vision to get real estate to help the homeless. Look at all of you lone wolves. How did I know that about you? Because that is the typical trait of the high performer. And in the old economy, you could kind of get the ball to move forward. But in this new economy, you really need to train your brain to allow speed. And here's the reality. Who has ever been going for their visions, their goals, and their dreams, and then something happens in your life, something with your kids, something with your spouse, something with a family member, some obstacle comes up, and it literally completely stops or massively slows down the thing you're trying to create? Just write obstacles if you've had that experience. Pretty much everyone has that experience. That's our life. Life doesn't stop as we're pursuing our goals and dreams. In fact, tomorrow we're going to talk about how do we eliminate the detour when obstacles comes, because obstacles are going to come. But I want you to be able to trust your intuition, to align with how your brain creates results, so much so that when those obstacles come, your vision and your dreams keep moving forward, even though you're handling the obstacles. Environment matters. Environment really matters. And lone wolves in today's economy, I'm telling you, this is when we got to run as a pack. so that when your blind spots come up, when the obstacles come up, that you can be in an environment that, first of all, says it's there and allows you to see it. And second of all, doesn't let you kill your dreams in the process. So I want you to write this down. This is a very important thing for you to know as we're going into the final stretch of what we're learning today, prepping for tomorrow when we're going to be breaking down the 67-day year system, the whole formula method. Write this down. Your brain needs to believe it for you to see it. Your brain needs to believe it for you to see it. But your brain does not need to see it to believe it. Now, a lot of us have been running on this idea of once I see it, I'll believe it. Once I see the clients, then I'll believe I can get to 6 figures. Once I see it, then I'll believe that it's possible. But that's actually in opposition. You see how old goal setting system said, here, get these tangible results, and then you'll know and work hard, and then you'll know that it's going to happen. Well, that actually literally is in opposition to how your brain actually creates results. Your brain needs to believe it before you will actually see it. We've got to be able to trick your brain into seeing it first. Now, those of you who've been around for a while, you've probably heard this story. I got the opportunity in my PhD to do a lot of research, and we work with some athletes on this topic specifically, and something that we're going to teach you how to do over the next couple days. And I worked with a swimmer, as an Olympic level swimmer, can't say the person's name. They were wanting to add 0.02 seconds to their stroke. Evidently, there was a way to initiate the stroke differently, and they agreed to work with us in the lab. And what that meant was not in the pool. This athlete had no learned memory of this new initiation of the stroke. We tested his brain. We're able to see, do you have a memory of it? That's how we were able to test it. And we also tested the muscle that would have to grow in order for him to initiate the stroke differently. No muscle, certain, I think he had like 4% of muscle at that point. And we went 67 days teaching his brain to see it before he had it, teaching his brain to not even be in the pool, not even be doing the reps in the pool, but through something we teach called brain priming, which is part of this model, he was able to have his brain believe it before he saw it. And when the 67 days was over, and that's why the number is really important. That's the 67 days is the path that it takes to complete a result in the brain. And we're the ones that make it take longer. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. But in the end, we measured his brain and we could see that he had complete learned knowledge of the stroke initiation, never had stepped foot in the pool. Now that's cool enough. That's cool enough. But when we measured his muscle connectivity, his muscle had grown, that small twitch muscle had grown by over 92.5%, I believe, never having used it. His brain actually believed it and therefore created it. Powerful, right? That's the power that's available to you while you're reaching back and using old systems. And that's what today I'm going to like literally draw the line in the sand, because going into tomorrow and what you're going to learn tomorrow, we've got to be on the same page that we're not going to be using the old broken systems that literally, what does Einstein say? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. I'm not calling you insane. I'm just saying that the old broken system, we've got to let it go. So if you're on board, if you're not, just say, I'm going to stick with the old way. Just say old. But if you're like, I really want speed. I really want to take a year's worth of goals and collapse them into 67 days. I really want to see this thing happen this year. Like, I know that I'm meant for it. I know I'm called for it. I know God put this desire in my heart. Then I want you to write new, because this is a commitment you're making going into tomorrow's training. So if you're saying old, then I'm saying it's probably not worth the time for you to come back, because using an old system that is built for the industrial age that doesn't work in your smart, if anybody would have made it work, it's you. But if you're in it and you're like, I need to know this new way, that's what we're diving deep into tomorrow. I want you to write new. So it's because it's vital that you're on board, because we're going to start, as we're wrapping up today, with an exercise that's going to really shift the game for you. I'm very excited about this exercise that we're going to be doing together right now. The thing is, we need speed in our goals, especially in this new economy. Do you agree? Say yes if you agree. You see how things are moving at such a speed that as your goals start to collapse time, you can not just keep up with it, but then be a part of it, and then maybe be a part of that wealth transfer that happens. And so instead of running behind, feeling like you're out of breath, you start pacing with. Like, have you ever seen the horses running next to each other, and you're seeing things from such a different vantage point? But speed, we're sabotaging speed by one thing specifically. And we're going to tackle that right now. We're going to tackle that right now. So we're going to wrap on this exercise, and I'm going to tell you what we're doing tomorrow. Now, this is really, really important that you play full out on what we're about to do. Now, I asked you at the top of the training, but I want to ask you again right now. So in the chat, I want you to write, even if it's still a work in progress, what your goal is. So I want 6 figures. Whatever it is, I want you to write it again. Write it again in the chat. It's important to what we're going to do, because once you see how this one thing is sabotaging your speed of results, everything shifts for you. And I can't wait for it. All right. So tell me in the chat. I got to throw my glasses on for that. I want to increase my income by 20,000, Renee says, in VIP. And remember, we're going to do a deep dive on money and money identity in VIP after this live training. So if you want to get all the recordings for this week, and also get into Q&A with me face-to-face, and go a little deeper, you can go to uplevel2vip.com. Not the number 2, but the words uplevel2vip. If you could put that in all the chats, that would be great. In StreamYard as well, that'd be awesome. All right, I'm looking. I'm seeing. Okay, so if you wrote financial freedom, I'd love for you just to define it a little bit more. What does that mean to you? Just put something out there, what that means to you. Catherine says 6-figure annual to start, 20K revenue. I want double the number of clients. I want a 6-figure income. I want 5K to enjoy 3 months in the RV this summer. I'm coming. That sounds fun. I want time to connect with the people in my life anytime I want. I want to travel. I want to explore. I want healthy connections. I want to break toxic generational barriers. Amen to that. It will stop with you. I don't know you because I can't see your name. Please put your name on that, but it will stop with you, because you're going to train your brain to transform your life, your financial life, your wealth, your health, everything. And then the people around you will change. I'm just wanted to stop for a second, because I can tell you personally, because of this discovery and because of what you're going to be learning over the next few days, I am not a special unicorn. I am just like you. That's why I needed to tell the story about me, because I am just like you. And I can honestly say that we have broken generational sin. We've broken generational curses. We've created a legacy for our family that didn't exist before we started to do the work that you're learning this week. So I just wanted to pause because I saw that, and that is a powerful desire. Okay, Vanessa, good. Okay. Need to find a vision on what direction, what to do. Great. We'll work through that. I want security of wealth. All right. So you get the idea here, and we'll dive deeper in this in the next few days. But I want you to get ready. Part of why you feel like you're on that hamster wheel, right? Hamster wheel, like you feel like you've been going after it, trying, doing all the things, taking all the courses, I knew you have your foot on the gas. There's no doubt. So say hamster wheel. I was gonna say rabbit wheel. Say hamster wheel. If you know you've been like going, you're trying, there's no lack of effort. Effort is not the problem. You're on the wheel, but it feels like it's going in circles. So the old industrial goal setting system says, write all the things down that you want. But what that says to your brain is you don't believe those things. And so your brain defaults to the subconscious without going through a bunch of science. It says what you want is a threat to be taken back to safe and familiar. Wait a minute. What, are you kidding me? Yes. What goal setting does in the traditional sense, the old broken system, literally puts your brain. Now I'm going to give your brain a voice, but it tells your brain this is not safe. What they want is not familiar. I must do everything possible to not get this thing. So in comes overwhelm. Put an O if overwhelm is taking you out. In comes procrastination and perfectionism. Put a P if any of those have hit you and made things challenging for you. What about imposter syndrome, like feeling like you're being judged by others? And that's put I if imposter syndrome has been the thing. Now, how do I know that? Because your brain is actually feeding you those neurochemicals. That's not your fault. Yet we beat ourselves up. Oh, I'm so lazy. I'm procrastinating. Oh, I wish I wasn't so perfectionistic. I wish I believed in myself and had confidence. No, your brain is literally flooding neurochemicals to keep you safe and familiar. So how do we switch that, Shannon? Like, these are the things I want. So by the way, it's fine to start with I want. So start there. But we need to shift from I want to I declare. So the language of the brain is certainty. Write that down. The language of the brain is certainty. So if we're uncertain with uncertain language, it sees that your brain sees it as a threat and starts to work against it. However, just like the athlete, if we declare certainty of its accomplishment, then it shows the brain that certainty is safe and that certainty is familiar. And then all those neurochemicals that were working against you, like a tug of war with a big bully, actually start to work for you, actually start to give you focus, give you clarity, give you intuition that you trust. You stop doing this outside in type of thing, listening, asking for permission to do things, seeing if somebody thinks that your thing is good. You know, the things we learned in school, by the way, you learn the outside in, get permission to go to the bathroom. You knew you had to go pee. Like, why'd you have to raise your hands? Okay, I know teachers, like that would create chaos if people are just getting up. I get it. But we were indoctrinated into an outside in. We've stopped learning how to declare because we've been told how to ask for permission. I just want that to land for a second. So what do I mean by declare? Well, I'm just going to use a simple example. I want to get my business to 6-figure this year. And we talked about meaningful goals. So we know what the 6-figure goal means. It means freedom. It means travel. It means time with my family and being with my baby, whatever it is. So we want to shift. And this is what I'm going to want you to do in the group tonight. We're going to talk about this. What is your big goal for the next 3 months? A lot of you wrote that down. And I need you to take that into a declaration that we're going to do something with tomorrow. I'm going to take and make it like pour gasoline on it tomorrow. But really, let's take it as if it's already happened from the I am. So if I'm using the example of a 6-figure business, I want a 6-figure business. I'm going to say, I have a 6-figure business that's impacting hundreds of people's lives. And because of that deep service, I'm able to spend any time that I need and want to with my family, traveling, just being together. So you see, I'm just giving you a meaningful goal on the end of that. So really, Shannon, this matters this much to your brain? Yes. I told you it was not going to be hard. So we're looking for the hard thing. But you know what? The difference, the separator between the wealth that's going to transfer between the 97% and the 3% is their mastermind. They master their mind. And this is the language of the brain, certainty. So your declaration of the next 3 months, I want you to post it in the group, the Unleashed Entrepreneur Facebook group. So now if you're not watching me in that group, if you're watching me on the page, or if you're watching me over on YouTube, I know they're going to pop in a link for the Unleashed Entrepreneur Facebook group, but those of you are in there because that's who I'm talking to. And VIP, of course, you're in there already. Go into the group. This is an incredible group full of high performers, high achievers. You guys see, that's why I do a lot of talking to you, because you see what a great room of people just like you that are in that room. And here's my challenge to you. Now, some of you I know this can get scary because I'm going to ask you to post that declaration. I would prefer, because I'm going to watch every single one of them, I would prefer you do it live in the group. So a lot of you are growing businesses or trying to increase income. Remember, your brain's language is the language of certainty. I know when I just said that, you got all the butterflies, all the feeling of nauseousness and all of those things. But I'm saying, like, here's a chance where you can show your brain, I am certain of this declaration by doing it live. Okay. Of course, do it any way that makes sense to you, but I really want to challenge you to do it live. And what you're going to discover when you do that, or create a video and put it in if that feels a little bit more comfortable to you, or post it with a picture. But I'm going to challenge you to do it, because what you're going to notice is as we get in there and feedback how amazing your declaration is, you're going to start to see what is possible. And your brain is going to start to align with belief around it. Just like the athlete did, just like I did when I was sitting in that room using this model, my brain started to see it as if it had already happened. And that's what we want to start. And we're going to take that nugget, and over the next couple of days, we're going to break down the 67-day year method. And I'm going to show you how to take that declaration and literally put it on hyperdrive. So your brain has to make it accomplished. In other words, this open loop, without it being accomplished, you're actually pitting your brain against itself, and the brain will not allow that to happen. So this is a pretty exciting thing. So give it a try right now. Just give it a try right now in the chat. Try to put it, and I'm going to grab one and help you a little bit with it. What are you declaring? Put it in the language of it's already happened. I want you to like really feel that. Like if you're here and saying, I want a 6-figure business, and say you're looking back at a year and it's done, what does that feel like? What does that make possible? What's next because of that, right? So you allow your intuition to come back into the room. You allow the dreamer to start dreaming again. And I know your brain is going to do a lot of conversation around, well, how? Because that's what our brain does. But the great news is when you start with certainty, your brain doesn't look for the how. Your brain starts to look for a pattern for you to follow. And we're going to dive into that tomorrow. But I want you in the chat just to write it as if it's already happened. Just write it as if it's already happened, so you can practice here in the chat. And then those of you that posted your declaration in the Unleashed Entrepreneur Facebook group, somebody's going to win a $50 gift card. And it could be Amazon, could be Starbucks, could be, I don't know what it's going to be. It just depends on the person, but somebody's going to win a $50 gift card. Why? Because I want to do what your brain already does. Reward action. Did you know your brain has an action reward system? We're going to talk about that tomorrow. It's really powerful. So I'm going to fast start that by giving away some cash tomorrow for someone who posts their declaration live in the Unleashed Entrepreneur Facebook group. And as you're doing it, you're going to be showing your brain how much your dreams really do matter. Now, some of you have been messaging. We put the link. If you want to join VIP, get the recordings, go to upleveltovip.com and jump in there. We're going to be in fact, VIP, stay on the call as soon as we wrap up here in the next minute or so. And we're going to go dive deep in that. We're going to be back here tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. And we are going to really start to overview the 67-day year. How can I take what that declaration is and take it from a year and move it down into 67 days, right? And so how do I train my brain to allow the success? How do I allow speed to happen versus chasing the money? How do I overcome that unforeseen thing that I know is going to happen and still keep the dreams going? And how do I create an environment of speed? That's what we're going to hit tomorrow. Tomorrow is a powerful day. You do not want to miss it live. We're going to actually be giving, and I'm not sure if this was in the email, but for those who show up live every single day, we are going to give away something really powerful. And I'm not even going to tell you what it is until tomorrow. I'm going to keep it a secret till tomorrow. So you've got to show up live every single day and make sure you do your declaration in the group. Before we depart today, I would love to hear from you. What is the one thing you are taking away from today? What is the one thing you're taking away from today? I want to hear what's going to stick with you today. And I'm looking at all your declarations. They are so powerful. They're so powerful. I couldn't find today's broadcast. It kept taking me to January 3rd. I'm not sure why that would be. Britta's got more hope. Rewarding my dreams into meaning. I'm earning six-figure income. I'm investing. Oh, that's so good. If my brain believes it, it will create it. Absolutely will do it. Absolutely will do it. Absolutely. So team, if you could put in StreamYard uplevel to VIP.com for those who want to. And tomorrow we are going to break down and start to unpack the actual 67-day year format so you can start to really collapse the time. And here's what I want to wrap with. This is your year. Now, I know you've said that in the past. I know you've said in your heart of hearts, like, this is the year, and it's happened. And then we kind of end up shrinking goals and it doesn't quite get there. But here's what I want to leave you with today and just encourage you to be here live tomorrow. This is the year. If you start to tap into the currency that your brain works in, which is time. And if you start to see that you have a system that already exists that you can tap into and learn its language, learn the language of results, because your brain is what creates it. Your brain can create it, or your brain can stop you in its tracks. Your brain can believe it and therefore attract it like a magnet and be in total the language of certainty, or it can work in opposition. And so I want you to know the steps so that you can make sure, not hope, not wish. And that's what I wanted to say about setting goals, is like just hoping and wishing. Declaration, certainty is the language of the brain. And as you're thinking about that today, I want you to get very excited about learning the system to be able to really tap into the language of the brain, see results literally happen in such speed because you're in alignment with how God created you, and you've got access now to the tool that makes it all work. I cannot wait to see your declarations in the Unleashed Entrepreneur Facebook group. Until then, I will see you back here tomorrow, noontime Central, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And I will see you in the Unleashed Entrepreneur Facebook group. And remember, the language of your brain is certainty. I cannot wait to see your certain declaration in the group. And we'll break down the 67-day year. VIPs, stay in the room. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.